guys, and welcome back to Nina's room. And today I am going to be showing you how to do long division for those of you who really need help with it. So this is a really good video to watch, except there's one problem. My camera's not cooperating today. Okay, hopefully this works and hopefully you guys can see. I'm going to try standing up. Alright, so let's just start with a basic division problem. 8 divided by 9. 97, sorry. Okay, so instead of just doing it in your head, you could do long division. Once you get the hang of it, it is really easy. So first, we are going to want to learn how to write it. So first, we're going to get a notebook. I have a notebook because unfortunately I have no paper up here. So you're going to write the number 97 somewhere random on the page. It could be bottom, top, anywhere you want. You can pause the video if you need more time. Then you are going to draw a straight line above that 97. Okay, then you are going to curve a little, make a C with a loop kind of. And then you're going to put the 8 on the other side of the loop. I know, it's kind of a weird way to write it. Pause the video if we need more time. Okay, so the first step of long division is finding out how, we're going to try to find out how many times 8 can fit into 9. So you're probably thinking, Nina, 8 cannot fit into 9 equally. Yes, it cannot. But what is the closest number that it can? Can it fit into 9 2 times? No, that would equal 16. 8 times 1 equals 8, right? So the closest number, so 8 could fit into 9, obviously 1 time because it can't even fit in. So if you're in a case like that where it cannot fit into it equally, then just put 1 because that's the obviously answer. So we're going to put the 1 right above the 9, right above this little line right here. We're going to put it directly above the 9. Okay, so I'm also going to write the step down. So step 1. Okay. Divide. Okay. All right, so next we're going to want to multiply. So if you're wondering what hold on, I'm going to write the step down first. Wondering what we're multiplying, we are going to multiply the 8 by the 1 up here. So what would that equal? 8, right? So we are going to put the 8 right under the 9. Step 3, subtract. So if you're wondering what we're going to be subtracting, we're going to be putting a minus sign in between the 9 and the 8, and then put a line just like we would for subtracting. And then what will we get? 1 as our answer. Okay. Step 4, bring down. So if you're wondering what to bring down, see this 7 right here? We need to work with that 7. We can't just leave it be. An important step of long division is you can't leave numbers out. It's kind of like a friend group. So if we left that 7 out, it would be very sad. So we are going to want to, see how I did that bring down sign? We're going to want to bring down that 7 right next to the 1. Okay. Step 5, repeat. So, what I mean by repeat is we're going to keep repeating these steps until we have no more numbers left. But we are doing a really easy problem with 2 digits, so that's going to be pretty easy. All right, so how many times can 8 fit into 17? Let's think. So 8, 16. Can it go any further? No. So it will be 2. So we're going to put the 2 right up here by the 7. Okay. Okay, so we already did divide. So what's our next step? Multiply. So what are we going to multiply? We're not going to multiply the 12 and the 8. We're going to multiply the 2 and the 8. So the 2 and the 8 bring us 16. So we're going to put the 16 right under the 17. And what's our next step? Subtract. So what are we going to be subtracting? 16 and 17. And what will that give us? 1. So what's our next step? Bring down. But are there any numbers to bring down? No, there aren't. So we have this 1 right here. What do you think that we're going to do with that 1? Are we just going to leave it there and not even use it in this long division process? No. What do you think that the answer is going to be 121? Actually, it's not. To break this apart, we are going to put our 1. So it's therefore 8 divided by 97 equals 12, remainder 1. Okay, so first I obviously got to explain remainders. So let's just say that I had 12 cookies. Okay? And I gave 5 of them to my friends. How many would I have left? I would have 7 left, right? So in this case, we have 97 cookies. Okay, so 12 is basically a round up answer. But so there's 1 left over. So is that going to be 13? No, because then we would obviously put 13. Why would we put remainder? Remainder is another word for leftover, let's just say. So I have 1 leftover cookie. So I can't divide 8, oh my gosh, I cannot talk today. So 8 cannot go into 97 equally. So if I try to split them up in between friends, I would need 12 friends to split them up into. But how many cookies will be left over? 1 cookie, because it's remainder 1. Alright, so hopefully you guys get this. We're going to move on to a 3-digit problem, and then 1,000, and then we'll go back to the 1 digit. Oh, this is not working well. Okay. So let's do 671. Remember how to set it up? We put the number in the middle of the screen. No, not in the middle of the screen. In the middle of your paper or notebook paper, whatever you have. And then draw a line on top of it. And then you draw a little curved line right here. Like a C almost, a backward C. And then we're going to do 671 divided by 3. So we're going to put the 3 on the other side. Okay, so do you remember our first step? Divide. So what are we going to be dividing by? Do you know? That's right, we're going to be dividing 6 divided, because we have 6 right here, divided by 3. So can 3 go into 6 equally? Yes. So if I if I had 6 cookies and I wanted to divide them equally between friends, I cannot talk today. So if I had 6 cookies, okay, and I wanted to give them to 3 friends and break them up into groups equally, how many cookies would be given to each friend? 2, right? So where would I put that 2? I would put the 2 above the 6 to represent it. Okay. And our next step is multiply. So what would we be multiplying? We will be multiplying our 2 with our 3. And what would that give us? We just did it. It's basically like a fact family. 6, right? So we would put that 6 right under the 6 from 671. Okay. What's the next step? Subtract. So what would we subtract? That's right, we would subtract the 6 from the 6. So we would put a minus sign right there, and then a line under for regular subtracting. And then what would we get? 0. And then what's our next step? Bring down. So what would we bring down? What number do we have next here? 7, right? So we would go right here, loopity-loopity-loop, bring the 7 down right next to the 0. Okay, what's our next step? Repeat. So we would have to repeat all these steps over. So what's our first step? Give you a hint. Divide. So what will we be dividing by? The 7 by the 3. So can 3 go into 7 equally? No, we're going to round it. So we go 3, 6, 9. Oh, 9's too high. So what's the closest that we can get it to? 2, right? So we would put that 2 right above our 7. Okay. Next step, what do we have? Multiply. So we would multiply the 2 by the 3 again, just like we just did. All right. So what would that equal? 6. So we would put the 6 right under the 7. Okay. And what's our next step? Subtract. So we would put that minus sign right here. And what does 7 minus 6 give us? That would give us 1, right? Yep. And then our next step is bring down. So what would we bring down? Our 1, right? So dividing by hundreds and thousands is basically the same thing, but except the digits just you keep having to repeat the steps more. That's the harder part. So we would bring the 1 all the way down here, and that would give us the number 11. Okay, are we done yet? No, we can't, remember, we can't leave that 11 be by itself. So we have to repeat again. So we have to divide. What will we divide by? The 11 by the 3. So let's count. 3, 6, 9, 12. Oops, that's too high. So I have 3 fingers up right now. So that would be 3. So we would put the 3 up here. Okay. And our next step is multiply. So what will we multiply by? The 3 by the 3. Which would give us what? 9, right? Okay, so for the sake of space, I'm just going to write it to the side. Please get a big piece of paper if you're trying to do this. And what does that give? Oh, sorry, I went ahead. Okay, so now our step is subtract. So what would we get if we subtracted? 2, right? There we go. So our next step is bring down. Are there any numbers for us to bring down? Nope. So we have our remainder down here, which would be what? 2, right? So therefore, our answer would be 223 remainder 2. But some problems don't have a remainder. So for example, if I go left down here with a 0, then that would mean that there's no remainder. It would just be 223. And to tell that that's your answer is when it says bring down and there's no other numbers to bring down, then that means that you're done. Okay. So if I had 671 cookies and 3 friends to give them to, and I wanted to divide them equally, each friend would get 223 cookies, but there would be 1 cookie left over for me to have. Okay. All right, now we're going to go on to the thousands place. All right, so let's do 1,698. Okay, and then we put our line on top. And then we curve like that. 1,698 divided by, let's do 4. All right, so this one's a little more confusing, but don't worry, I'm going to explain. Okay. All right, so our first step is, we've done it by now, it is divide. So what will we be dividing by? The 4 by the 1. But there's a problem. 4 can't fit into 1 because 4 is too big and 1 is too small. 1 can fit into 4, but if the 1 was here, then we could gladly fit it into 4. But the 1 is over here. No worries. Here's what we're going to do. So we are going to put a 0 right above the 1 because we know that 4 cannot fit into 1 equally. No, I mean, there's no chance that it can. So what we're going to do if that ever happens is we're going to go to our next number. Our next number is 16. Can 4 go into 16? Yes, it can. So we are going to divide 16 by 4, which would give us what? 4, right? So we would put the 4 right here above the 16. Okay. Next step is multiply. So what would we be multiplying by? The 4 by the 4, which we just did. No, we divided, but still, another fact family type of thing. So that would give us 16. So we put the minus. Oh, I keep going ahead. Sorry, I'm so used to doing this. So we go ahead and put the 16 under the 16. And then our next step, which I already showed you, is subtract. Okay. So we're going to subtract the 16 by the 16, which is obviously 0. Okay. All right, so our next step is bring down. Okay. So what would we bring down? What is our next number here? 9. So we would bring down the 9 right here next to our 2 zeros. And are we done yet? No, we have to repeat the same step from divide. Okay. So, we have to divide the 9 by the 4. So let's count. 4, 8, 12. Oh, whoops, I went too far. So if I put one finger down, we have 2. So we would put the 2 up top here above the 9. Okay. What will we do now? Our next step is multiply. So what would we multiply by? The 2 by the 4. So we would bring the 8 down here under the 9s and the 0s. And then what's our next step? Subtract. So we would put a minus sign right here and then put a line for subtract. And then we would go ahead and do our subtracting. So that would give us 1. Okay. And what's our next step after subtract? Bring down. So what would we bring down? What's our next number here? 8. So we would whoopity whoopity whoop it. Oh, I go on off the paper. Poor line. We would put the 8 right here next to the 1. Okay. So are we done yet? Are we just going to leave that 18B? Nope. We have to repeat one more time. So we have to divide. So we're going to divide the 18 down here by the 4. So how many times can 4 fit into 18? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Whoops, I went too high. I'm going to have to put one down, and I have 4. So I'm going to put the 4 up here. Okay. And then our next step is multiply. Okay. So do you remember what I'm multiplying by? I'm multiplying the 4 by the 4. So we would come down here, what would 4 times 4 equal to? We did that about 3 times in this problem, actually, which is kind of funny. Well, we divided once. 16. So you put the 16 down here. Okay. And then our next step is subtract. So we would put the minus sign here, then subtract, and we're going to go ahead and subtract, which would give us 2. So therefore, 2 would be our remainder. So are we just going to leave it there, like we don't know what it's doing? No, we're going to bring it up here, and we're going to put remainder 2. So therefore, 1,698 divided by 4 equals 424, remainder 2. And I picked this problem so I could explain to you what would happen if this number is greater than the number on the right side. You would just divide by the next number. And if that number is too small, go to the next number. And if that's too small, go to the next number. But I don't think that that's ever going to happen. Okay, so if I have 1,698 cookies, okay, and I have 4 friends, and I want to give them each the same amount of cookies, I would give them each 424 cookies, but I would have 2 left over for myself. Okay? Alright, so we're not going to do any more problems, but I'm going to just go over the steps of long division. So if you're wondering why it's called long division when there's literally multiplying, subtracting, it is because you start with dividing and you're dividing. So that's why it's called long division. Okay, so remember, we set it up, we put the number in a random space, okay, and then we draw a line over it, and then we draw a curve, and then we put the smaller baby number on this side. Okay. And then we are going to divide this number, the number that we have on the left side, from the number that we have on the right side. Okay? But for some reason, this number is greater than the number on the right side. Then we're going to go to the next number and then divide. But be sure to put a 0 above that, whatever number is here, to show that it's an unknown digit. Okay? And then we're going to just pretend that this is a 6 and this is a 2. So, no. Actually, pretend that this is a 2 and this is a 2 and this is a 2. Okay? So we would get 2 divided by 2 equals 1. So we would put the 1 up either here if you no, we would put the 1 right there. Okay? And then we would divide the 1 by the 2. So that would give us 2. So we'd bring the 2 down here. Wait, right here. And then we'd subtract the 2 by the 2, which would give us 0. So we put the 0 down here. And then we bring down whatever number's right here or right there. We'd bring it down. And then we divide whatever number's here by the baby digit, what I like to call the baby digit. And then whatever we get there, we'll put right beside the number that we have. And then you'll divide, you'll multiply. So you'll multiply what? The baby number by the number that you just put down. Pretend that this is a 2 and this is a 4. That'd give us 8. So we'd bring the 8 down here. And then we'd subtract. And then we'd bring down whatever number right there. Okay. And then we divide whatever number this is by the baby number. And then we'd put that right here. And then we'd multiply whatever number's here by this number. Then we'd bring this down, and then we'd subtract. And then that number would be a remainder. So that'd be our answer. Okay? So I hope you understand long division now, and if you didn't know it. So you guys can I know that my comments may be turned off, but you guys are welcome to request on your videos or anything else math related you like to do. If you want me to explain how to find equal fractions easier, I like multiplying easier, dividing easier, whatever you guys would like. Okay? But for now, we're going to say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time.